of our goals for functions in JavaScript is writing functions that are both flexible and reusable. One of the ways we create flexible and reusable functions is by writing functions that can take parameters or return a value. In this video lecture, I'm going to show you how to do just that. So you'll recall in the last video, I created a function called player_score, or display_player_score, which I'm calling here on line 14. There's display_player_score, the function definition, where we set player_score to 1,000, and we write out player_score, and we write out the value 1,000. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a value to the function. I'm going to pass the value 12,500. The way I pass a value to a function is I put it right here in the parentheses at the function call. Now, I've got to be able to deal with the value once it comes to the function. So I'm going to comment that player_score equals 1,000 out here in the function. And I'm going to name the value here the score, just to keep it from being confusing. I could have named it player_score here as well, but I'm going to name it the score because I don't want it to be confusing for you. All right, so there's the score. So what's going to happen is this function call is going to call the function display_player_score and pass it the value 12,500. That 12,500 gets passed to the function here and becomes the score. It's as if we've said the score equals 12,500, and then we display the value by concatenating this string literal and then the value of the variable. Let's save and let's check it in Firefox. Oops, let's make sure we're loading the HTML file, not the JavaScript file, because the JavaScript file doesn't run in Firefox. We need the HTML. There we go. Player_score is 12,500 right here. So if we change that value in the function call here to, 14,000, that, of course, will be reflected in the result. Let's refresh, 14,000. We can manipulate the value that's passed in to the function any way we want. So here I'm going to say 14,000 plus equals 1,000, which is a shortcut for saying, the score plus equals 1,000, which is going to add 1,000 to the score. It's a shortcut for saying the score equals the score plus 1,000. So I just shortcutted that with this statement right here. This is kind of an addition assignment operator. So now, before we would display the score, we're going to add 1,000 to it. Let's go ahead and refresh here, and there we get 15,000. We can pass more than one value to a function if we want to. So I'm going to write a function called add these numbers. And it's going to take two values, which we'll call x and y. Keep it simple. So now what we're going to do first is we're going to say display. Oops, not display. We're going to say document write the value x plus y. So now we'll pass two values. And this will take the first value, assign it to x, second value, assign it to y, add them together, and write out that value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out a break. We'll copy and paste. And I'm going to call add these values. I'm going to pass the values 12 and 17. All right, so let's go ahead and try this in the browser. We should see the total of 12 and 17. Let's see, add these values. Let's make sure this is the same. Oops, it looks like I forgot to save. Add these values. Add these. I called one add these numbers and one add these values. Got to be accurate and call them the exact same thing. Numbers. All right, that should work better. Here we are in Firefox, preview. 29, because it added together the two numbers that we passed. Now, this is only useful if we want to display the result. But what if we wanted to do something else with the result? Well, our functions can also return values, and they return it to the caller. So I'm going to demonstrate a return, and we're simply going to return the value of x plus y. So that'll add these numbers together and return it to the caller. Now, when we have a function that returns something, we've got to be able to put it somewhere. So I'm going to create a variable called sum, which is going to hold the result of add these numbers. And then I'm going to document write the value of sum. Let's just change the numbers so we know we get a different result here. 117. So what's going to happen now is, remember, the right side of the assignment operator is evaluated first. So we're going to pass the numbers 100 and 17 to the function called add these numbers. Here's add these numbers. So 100 will get assigned to x, 17 will get assigned to y, and then we'll return to the caller the values x plus y, which gives us 117 being returned to the caller. So this turns into 117 is assigned to sum, and then we write out the value 117. Let's try it in the browser. And there we get our 117. So remember, we can send parameters to the function. When we send parameters to the function, the parameters must be given a variable name, as they did here, or as they did here for multiple parameters. And if we return a value, we use the return statement, and we must do something with that return, such as assign it to a variable or include it in a document write. So for example, I could have done this. Document write, add these numbers, 12 and 15. So this will call add these numbers. It'll return 12 plus 15 and then write out that value. Let's check it one last time in the browser. And we get 27, which is the sum of 12 and 15. So we've seen how to call a function, pass the function parameters, and also return a value from a function.